I'd been behind the wheel for 9 hours, pushing through a full-on snowstorm, all just to surprise my wife for her birthday. I walked in the door, cake in hand, excited, only to hear her say something I'll never forget. She was talking to her sister and said, "God, I hope he crashes. I could use the insurance." Then Mary, her sister, shot back, or at least a few months of silence. And they laughed. I didn't say a word. I set the cake on the kitchen counter, turned around, and walked right back out. Next morning, I was gone. 3 weeks passed before she started saying she regretted everything. So yeah. I'm a 33-year-old guy, married to Mila, who's 31. We've been together for 7 years now. The whole high school sweetheart thing, dated through our teens, broke it off when college hit, and ended up reconnecting years later at a mutual friend's wedding. Figured we were back on track for good. At least, that's what I believed. Lately though, things have felt off. Mila's been pulling away. It started maybe 6 months ago. She began spending way more time with her sister Mary and this flashy new group of friends. The kind of people who drive luxury cars they can't actually afford and somehow always seem to be flying off to tropical places on maxed-out credit cards. Not judging, just calling it like I see it. Then Mila started making little digs. Complaining that our house felt like a starter home. Asking me when I was going to step it up at work and land something next level. I figured it was just a phase. We're doing alright, you know. We've got a solid 3-bedroom in a nice neighborhood. 2 cars that run well. We go on 1 decent vacation a year. Nothing flashy, but more than enough to live comfortably. Or so I thought. Her birthday came around last week. February birthdays in the Midwest are the worst, cold, snowy, and half the time you end up canceling plans. So I figured I'd make this one memorable. Her birthday landed on a Tuesday, but she had plans to spend the weekend with Mary, something about a spa day on Saturday. I told her I couldn't make it, work stuff. That was a lie. Truth was, I'd arranged to take Friday off weeks ago. I had this whole plan mapped out, show up at Mary's place Friday night with her favorite cake from the bakery near home, then sweep her off to this nice restaurant I'd made reservations for. Took me 3 weeks to get that table. I even packed a bag with her favorite dress and the shoes she always says make her feel pretty. Everything was lined up. But then Thursday night, the weather reports took a turn. Winter storm warning. They were calling for 6 to 10 inches across 3 states, basically my whole drive. Most folks would have canceled. I didn't. Stubborn? Probably. But I didn't want to waste that dinner booking, and I really wanted to see the look on her face when I surprised her. So I left at 7 a.m. Friday morning. What should have been 6 hours on the road turned into 9 hours of hell. I was white-knuckling it the whole way through blinding snow, barely able to make out the taillights in front of me. There were 3 different wrecks that slowed things to a crawl. I had to stop twice just to down some gas station coffee and stay awake. But the whole way, I just kept picturing her face when I walked through the door. I figured that would make it all worth it. I rolled into Mary's neighborhood around 4 p.m. The roads were a mess, no plows in sight. Had to park a block away and hoof it through ankle-deep snow with the cake box in my arms. My jeans were soaked through by the time I hit the front steps. The door was unlocked. I heard them in the kitchen, voices and laughter. I was just about to call out when I caught my name. Mila was mid-conversation. From Noah? Nothing. Radio silence. Mary said something I couldn't quite catch. Then Mila again, a little louder this time. He texted earlier saying he was stuck at work. Mary scoffed. Still at work in this weather? They'd have sent everyone home by now. Well, Mila said, he's probably just on the couch again with his headphones on, playing that stupid game. I froze. This wasn't the normal teasing she used to do. There was something cold in her voice. Like she was tired of me. Mary added, at least he's not here screwing up your birthday week. I almost stepped in right then, announced myself, changed the course of everything. I wish I had. But I didn't. Instead, I heard what came next. Mila laughed and said, "God, can you imagine? He'd want to come to dinner tonight and tell the same 3 stories he always tells." Then she added, "And tomorrow, he'd give me that sad puppy face because I want to go out without him." My stomach turned. I was still standing there, soaked and frozen, holding that stupid cake box like an idiot. Then Mary chimed in, "Well, at least he's not here. Roads are a mess. My friend's husband got stuck for hours on the highway." There was a pause. Then Mila, with a chuckle, said it. "God, I hope he crashes. I could use the insurance." I must have made some kind of noise, because suddenly they went quiet. I thought I'd been caught, maybe they'd seen me. But then Mary said, "Or at least a few months of silence." And they both started laughing. Laughing. At the thought of me being dead. Or in a hospital bed. I don't remember making a conscious decision after that. My body just moved. I walked into the kitchen. Set the cake box down on the counter without saying a word. Turned and walked out. I'll never forget their faces. I've never seen people lose color so fast. Mila called out my name. I didn't look back. Just kept walking through the snow. Back to my car. I sat there for a solid 20 minutes before I could even put the key in the ignition. My phone started blowing up. By the time I looked, I had 17 missed calls and 38 texts. I didn't read a single one. I drove to the nearest motel I could find. Cost me $80 for a room that reeked of cigarettes and poor choices. I turned off my phone and stared at the ceiling till the sun came up. Next morning, I powered it back on. 63 texts. 29 missed calls. Didn't check a single one. I texted my buddy Matt, "Something happened with Mila. Need a place to crash for a few days." Matt, being the legend that he is, just wrote back, "Doors unlocked. Beers in the fridge." I drove the full 9 hours back home. Packed up 3 suitcases with my stuff while Mila was still off with Mary. Grabbed all the important documents from the fireproof box, then headed straight to Matt's place. That was 3 days ago. I haven't spoken to Mila since, not that she's not trying. She's called from different numbers. Left voicemails, some teary, some furious. Even showed up at my job yesterday. I wasn't there. Called in sick. Today, I went to the bank. Moved half of our joint savings into a solo account under my name. Froze our shared credit cards. Changed every single password. Told my boss I needed to work from home for a bit, family stuff. I've been moving through it all like I've got a checklist. It's strange because inside, I feel like I'm falling with no bottom in sight. But her voice keeps playing over and over in my head. I hope he crashes. I could use the insurance. Who says that about someone they claim to love? Who laughs at the thought of their husband being silenced for months? Or worse, dead. The scariest part isn't even what she said. It's realizing, that probably wasn't the first time. Just the first time I heard it. Now, our friends are starting to reach out. Apparently, Mila's spinning some story that we had a misunderstanding, and I'm overreacting. Classic gaslighting. One of our mutuals even texted me, "Whatever happened, I'm sure you two can work through it," without even asking what actually went down. I haven't told anyone the full story. Not even Matt. He knows something happened, obviously, but he's been chill. Keeps the fridge stocked. Doesn't pry. Last night, I finally gave in and read some of Mila's texts. There's a pattern. Confusion. Where did you go? Why did you leave? Defensiveness. It was just a joke. You weren't supposed to hear that. Anger. You're being childish. Answer your damn phone. Manipulation. I'm worried about you. Please let me know you're okay. Threats. If you don't call me back, I'm calling the police to report you missing. Self-pity. I can't believe you'd do this to me on my birthday weekend. But you know what's missing from every single message? A real apology. No acknowledgement of what she said. Of how deeply messed up it was. After reading them, I blocked her number. I'm not ready to talk. Honestly, maybe I never will be. Today, I met with a financial advisor, Luke. Guy came recommended by a coworker. We spent 2 hours untangling our money. Turns out Mila's been spending $700-800 a month on online shopping. For the past year. She also opened a store credit card behind my back. $3,000 balance. Luke helped me make a plan. Everything's above board, legal, clean, but it's going to be a wake-up call for her. The joint account still has enough to cover this month's mortgage and utilities. After that, she's going to feel the difference. I'm not trying to leave her with nothing. I'm just done shielding her from the consequences of her own choices. And still, somehow, I catch myself wondering, am I overreacting? But then I hear her voice again. That cold, careless way she said it. I hope he crashes. And then the laughter. God, the laughter. That's how I know I'm not overreacting. That's how I know this isn't just a rough patch. Matt thinks I should talk to her. Not to reconcile, just to get closure. Maybe he's right. But right now, I'm still trying to figure out who I married. Who the hell this person really is. Tomorrow will be 4 full days of silence from me. Mary, her sister, tried to call today. Ignored it. Then our neighbor, Mary, texted saying Mila was sitting on our front steps crying because I changed the garage code. Part of me felt guilty. Most of me didn't. And the thing that keeps me up at night? It's not even the insurance comment anymore. It's how easy it was for them to laugh about it. Like it was nothing. Who does that? How long has she felt that way about me? I've also been thinking a lot about the life insurance policy we took out 3 years ago. It's not huge, about $500,000. But apparently, that's enough to hope someone doesn't make it home from a snowstorm. I'm calling the insurance company tomorrow to change the beneficiary. And yeah, I know this is getting long, but typing it all out helps. More than I expected. Matt's buddy is a divorce lawyer. I'm grabbing coffee with him tomorrow. Doesn't mean I'm ready to pull the trigger yet, but I need to know my options. Just in case. People keep asking me what I'm going to do next. And honestly, I don't know. Part of me wants to disappear. Change my number. Move to another state. Start over. Another part of me wants confrontation. I want to look her in the eye and repeat her own words back to her. I want her to feel even 1/10 of the hurt she put in me. But mostly I just want the hollow feeling in my chest to go away. I want to stop seeing her face every time I close my eyes. I want to stop hearing that laughter. That sentence. Like some twisted TikTok sound I can't mute. So for now, I'm just taking it one day at a time. Head down. Plans in motion. And letting her sit in the silence, wondering where I am, what I know, and what I'm going to do. If there's interest, I'll keep updating. Either way, thanks for letting me vent. Sometimes strangers online listen better than the people you've known your whole life. Still standing. Still breathing. Noah. I packed up my records. My tools from the garage. That strange metal sculpture I picked up at an art fair a few summers ago, the one Mila always said looked like a pile of junk. 4 hours. That's how long it took to carefully, methodically erase myself from the life we built together. What I didn't take. Anything we'd picked out as a team. The couch we argued over for 3 weekends before finally agreeing on. The kitchen table where we'd eaten maybe 1,000 meals, some good, some tense, some totally silent. Our bed, where we slept, fought, made up, made love. I left it all behind. I didn't even touch the framed photos. Every picture of us stayed exactly where it was, on the walls, the shelves, the hallway table. Something about knowing she'd come home to my face smiling back at her from every direction just felt right. Like a quiet reminder of what she threw away. Before I left, I did 3 things. First, I dropped the thermostat to 62. Mila always complained if it dipped below 70, said she wasn't built for the cold. Second, I unscrewed the fridge light bulb. Petty, I know. But the kind of thing that wouldn't get noticed for days, and then suddenly become a little nightly frustration. Third, I changed the Wi-Fi password to 06home1010. Unplugged the router. Yeah, it was childish. But it was also intentional. A string of little reminders. Not enough to hurt, but enough to feel. 100 subtle ways she'd notice I wasn't there anymore, long before the big stuff really hit. As I locked up, our neighbor Mary was outside getting her mail. She looked at Matt's truck, packed to the brim with my stuff, then back at me, eyes questioning. I just gave her a shrug and said I was dropping off some things to donate. She didn't believe me. I could see it in her face. But she gave me a polite little nod and went inside. That's Midwest manners for you, don't ask, don't get involved. Usually, that mind your business vibe annoys me. But that day, I appreciated it. Back at Matt's, I stacked most of my stuff in his garage, except 2 suitcases I brought inside. He didn't say much. Just helped unload, handed me a beer, and said, sometimes life kicks you in the teeth. Thursday was numbers day. Another meeting with Luke. He'd pulled everything together, account statements, spending breakdowns, a whole spreadsheet that made me sick to my stomach. Turns out the store credit card wasn't the only surprise. Mila had been pulling cash from our joint account like it was an ATM with no consequences. $300 here. $500 there. Over $12,000 in the past year. And no trace of where it went, no receipts, no purchases I could find. Just, gone. Luke helped me draft a formal letter stating I was requesting financial separation. Not a divorce, not yet. Just a legal declaration that I wouldn't be held responsible for any new debts she took on from this point forward. Had it delivered by courier. To her office. Was it petty? Maybe. Did it get the point across? Definitely. I also went ahead and cancelled our shared streaming services. Changed the passwords to our cloud storage where we kept documents and backups. Set up a P.O. box and redirected all my mail. Little, practical steps. Clean cuts. Friday morning, I finally checked social media. 17 Facebook messages. 34 Instagram DMs. Even Twitter, which I haven't touched in forever, had notifications. Most were people asking if I was okay. Some asking what happened between me and Mila. Others already choosing sides without knowing a thing. I posted one photo. Just a shot of that half-eaten birthday cake, sitting alone on a counter. No caption. No explanation. Within an hour, my phone was lighting up again. Friends texting, trying to read between the lines. Mila called 6 times in under half an hour. Then her best friend Rose messaged me, asking if I was alright, said Mila was worried. I didn't respond to any of it. That afternoon, I met up with Ramon from work. Told him I needed some personal time. He didn't push. Just asked how long I needed, and whether I could still handle the Wilson project remotely. I said I could. Asked for 2 weeks. He nodded, clapped me on the back, and said sometimes a little space is the best way to clear your head. Honestly? First good advice I've gotten since this whole thing started. Saturday brought the first face-to-face moment. I was at the grocery store, blanking out in front of the frozen pizza section, trying to remember what kind Matt liked, when I heard someone say my name. I turned and there she was, Mary. She looked like she'd seen a ghost. Pale, rattled, basket hanging from one hand. She launched into it right away, Mila's worried sick. Everyone's talking. Won't you just talk to her? When I didn't say anything, she pivoted. Got snippy. Said I was being immature. Said it was just a joke between sisters. Said I was making a mountain out of a molehill. I finally spoke up. I asked her, straight out, if she thought it was normal to joke about your husband dying for the insurance payout. Would she be okay if her boyfriend heard her say something like that? Did she realize that joke wasn't a one-off? That it was the final straw in a long list of signs that Mila didn't respect me anymore? She didn't have answers. Just stumbled over some vague defense about context and misunderstandings. I put the pizza back, left my cart in the aisle, and walked out. Was it petty? Yeah. Did it feel good? Absolutely. Sunday was quiet. Matt had some buddies over to watch the game. They knew something was up, could feel it, but nobody asked. Just offered me a beer and made room on the couch. For 3 hours, I almost felt like a regular guy again. Then Monday hit. My leave from work officially started. I woke up late. Our house, my old house, was sitting there across town, half empty, like a hollowed-out version of what we had. 15 missed calls from Mila overnight. I finally listened to one voicemail. Her voice sounded different. Tired. Raspy. She said she hadn't been sleeping. Said the house felt wrong without me. Said she noticed more and more of my things missing, and it was starting to scare her. She asked if I was ever coming back, or if I was ghosting her. Ghosting our marriage, she said. And just like that, something inside me hardened. That word, ghosting, like we were just some Tinder couple that didn't work out. Like we hadn't spent years building something real. I texted Matt and told him I needed to clear my head. Took a drive and ended up outside the house. Our house. Her house. I don't even know anymore. I sat in the car for almost an hour. Her car wasn't there. Porch light was still on, even though it was the middle of the day. Guess she forgot to turn it off. The recycling bin was overflowing with wine bottles. I didn't go inside. Just sat there wondering how many more mortgage payments I had in me. Should I sell the place? Try to buy her out? Could we even survive being in the same zip code? Hard to believe that just 10 days ago, I thought we had forever. Then Tuesday brought another punch. Got a fraud alert from the credit card company. Mila went shopping. Again. Over $2,000 at department stores and boutiques. Retail therapy. Or deliberate sabotage. Either way, I didn't hesitate. Called the card company, reported it stolen. Had the replacement sent to my P.O. box. Another bridge burned. That night, I posted something online. Not about Mila. Just a simple status. Sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same. Vague enough to mean anything. Specific enough that the people who needed to get it, would. Mila would see it. So would her friends. The shift was happening, Noah wasn't spiraling. Something serious had gone down. Wednesday made 2 weeks. 14 days since Mary's kitchen. 14 days of silence on my end. 14 days of increasingly frantic attempts on Mila's. I met with a lawyer that Matt recommended. Another Luke. No relation to my financial guy, just an unfortunate coincidence that made things a little confusing. He was calm, thorough. Laid everything out. Said the divorce would be clean, at least legally, no kids, but the house and finances would be messy. He suggested a formal separation first. Room to breathe, time to untangle. I agreed. He drafted the paperwork on the spot. Said he could have it served by Friday. The ball was rolling. And it was picking up speed. Thursday, it all came to a head. I was working from Matt's dining table, trying to stay focused on a client's disaster of a budget sheet, when the doorbell rang. Matt answered. Came back looking like he'd just walked into a funeral. She's outside, he said. Mila. She's crying. Wants to see you. I froze. Coffee halfway to my mouth. Matt shifted awkwardly. Want me to send her away? I didn't answer right away. Didn't know what I wanted. I wasn't ready to see her, but turning her away felt like giving her more ammo. Look how unreasonable he's being. I gave a slow nod. He let her in. She looked rough. Hair unwashed. Eyes red. Same sweater from earlier in the week, maybe earlier than that. She stopped in the doorway, just staring at me. Like I was a hallucination. I didn't stand. Didn't offer a seat. Just waited. She asked if it was true, that I was having her served. Apparently Luke's assistant had called to verify our address, and Mila pressed until she got something out of them. So much for subtlety. I said yes. I was. She asked why I wouldn't talk to her. Why I hadn't let her explain. Her voice cracked mid-sentence. I told her there was nothing to explain. I heard what I heard. She said it wasn't what I thought. That she was stressed, that Mary brought out her worst side. That it was dark humor, too much wine, nothing literal. I asked if she remembered what she'd said. She hesitated. Then claimed I must have misheard. Said she'd said, I wish he'd just crash on the couch, not the car. That's when I pulled out my phone. I'd been using a voice memo app that night. Recording gift ideas on the drive over. Never hit stop. Total accident. Or fate. I hit play. God, I hope he crashes. I could use the insurance. Then Mary's voice, or at least a few months of silence. Laughter. Mila turned pale. Eyes wide. She reached for the phone, and I pulled it back. She started crying. Harder than before. It's out of context, she said. I didn't mean it. I'd never hurt you. I asked one question. Would you have told me about that conversation if I hadn't heard it for myself? She didn't answer. That silence told me everything. Matt had made himself scarce, but he came back in then. Hovered near the door, trying to play peacekeeper. Said maybe we should all cool off, revisit things when it wasn't so raw. Mila ignored him. She was locked in on me. She started listing things she missed. The way the house felt empty. How she couldn't sleep in our bed. How much she depended on me. How she'd make it up to me. All of it. Whatever it took. Just come home. It was a hell of a performance. The tears, the trembling hands, her voice catching just enough to sound sincere. 2 weeks ago, I might have believed her. Might have wanted to. But I'd spent 14 days replaying not just what she said, but why she said it. The contempt that had built up. The small cracks I'd ignored. The cruelty that had settled in, quiet and familiar. The woman who could laugh about collecting my life insurance wasn't the woman I thought I married. I told her the truth. I didn't know if I could ever trust her again. The separation wasn't punishment, it was protection. Space to figure out if there was even anything left worth salvaging. She didn't take it well. Said I was throwing away 7 years over one stupid comment. Said everyone vents. Said I was the cruel one now, ghosting her, cutting her out. I let it wash over me. Her words didn't stick anymore. When she ran out of things to say, I told her the papers would be delivered tomorrow. That she should read them carefully before deciding her next move. She left sobbing. Mascara streaked like black ink running off wet paper. Matt came back in with 2 beers. Handed me one. That was the most uncomfortable thing I've witnessed since my parents' divorce, he said. It was a joke. A bad one. But I appreciated it anyway. That night, I couldn't sleep. Just kept seeing her face the moment she heard the recording. The shock. The panic. But not remorse. No true regret. Just fear of what came next. Friday morning, the documents showed up right on schedule, just like they were supposed to. By that same afternoon, Mila's sister was already out there on social media, tossing out those cryptic posts about how men blow things out of proportion and wreck their own marriages over silly misunderstandings. Families really do have a way of circling the wagons, even when deep down, they probably know who's actually at fault. But something else happened that I didn't expect. Rose, Mila's best friend, shot me a message. It was short, just a quick text, but it hit different. She said she'd finally heard the full story, including what Mila had actually said to me. And she told me she was genuinely sorry I was having to deal with all this. She went on to say she's known Mila since college, and this wasn't the first time she'd witnessed her make cutting, unnecessary remarks about people. Apparently, she'd even tried to call Mila out on it before, but Mila just shut her down. It was the first time someone from Mila's world actually acknowledged that what I was feeling was valid. Not minimized, not brushed aside, just heard. I didn't text back, but her words stayed with me. It made me wonder, maybe what Mila said wasn't just a one-time slip. Maybe it revealed something deeper about who she really is. And maybe, just maybe, I'd been ignoring warning signs for a long time. The weekend rolled in quietly. Matt had a date, which meant I had the house to myself. So, I ordered a pizza, put on that sci-fi show I'd always wanted to watch, the one Mila never had the patience for, and tried my best not to think about how, in some other version of my life, I'd be home with my wife, celebrating our monthly pizza and movie night tradition like we used to. Then Sunday night came, and Mila sent a text. Just 2 words, "I'm sorry." The first real apology I'd gotten from her in over 2 weeks. No follow-up. No explanations. No requests to talk. Just those words. I didn't write back. But I thought about them more than I probably should have. When Monday rolled around, day 18 of whatever this new life was, I woke up and spotted Mila sitting in her car. Parked right outside Matt's place. Just sitting there, looking at the front door. Matt was the one who saw her first. He pointed her out while we were standing in the kitchen. I gave her a call and asked what the hell she was doing. She told me she just needed to see me with her own eyes. Said she wasn't going to come to the house or cause a scene, just needed to know I was okay. It was kind of unsettling, honestly, but also weirdly touching in a way. I told her she needed to go. That showing up like this wasn't helping either of us. She asked if I'd read her message. I told her I had. Then she asked if I believed she was really sorry. I said I didn't know. And then came the question I'd been trying not to think about. "Are you filing for divorce?" she asked. I told her the truth, I hadn't made up my mind yet. She stayed out there in her car for another hour before finally driving off. Later that afternoon, Matt brought up the idea of changing the locks on my house. Just to be safe. I agreed, and we spent a few hours installing new deadbolts. Another small but permanent shift, another thread snipped in the fabric of our old life. It's officially been 3 weeks since that night at Mary's. 3 weeks of mostly silence. 3 weeks of trying to make sense of the wreckage of a marriage I thought was steady. Sleep hasn't been easy. And I find myself missing the dumb stuff. Like the way Mila would always splurge on the fancy coffee just because she knew I liked it. How she'd belt out off-key songs every morning in the shower. Her ridiculous stash of fuzzy socks that somehow always migrated to my side of the bed. But I don't miss the resentment that had been bubbling just beneath the surface for months. I don't miss having to tiptoe around her shifting moods. I definitely don't miss the sharp, passive-aggressive little jabs she'd pass off as jokes. The separation paperwork's done, signed, sealed, filed. The lawyer told me we're now in the official legal separation phase. That means 6 months of living apart, dividing finances, figuring out who we are on our own. At the end of that period, we'll either try to piece things back together or move forward with the divorce. If you'd asked me 3 weeks ago, I would have told you there was no way in hell we'd reconcile. But now? I'm not so sure. It's not that I've forgiven her. It's just, when you've spent 7 years building a life with someone, the process of untangling all that is way more complicated than I ever imagined. Houses, money, memories, mutual friends, everything's tied together in knots I'm only just starting to unravel. As I'm writing this, my phone lights up with a new message from Mila. Can we meet? Neutral place. Just talk. Please. I'm not sure what I'll say. Part of me wants to hear her out. Another part thinks this is just dragging things on unnecessarily. Mostly, I'm just exhausted. But if I'm being honest, I'll probably go. Maybe just to finally say out loud what I've been typing to internet strangers for the past few weeks. I'll update if anything major happens. And hey, thanks for all the advice on the last post, even the wild stuff about glitter and shampoo. Some of y'all seriously need to talk to a therapist, but still, I appreciate the support. I'm still here. Still breathing. Noah. Final update. It's been exactly 25 days since I left that cake sitting on the counter. 25 days of quiet, space, and way more adult responsibility than I ever signed up for. This is probably the last time I'll post about this. There's only so many ways you can pick apart a dead marriage before even the internet checks out. First off, thanks for all the DMs and comments. Even the weird ones. And no, I did not take that piece of advice about hiding fish in her car vents. You people are ruthless. So, the coffee shop meetup. I showed up 15 minutes early because anxiety apparently thinks that's the law. Downtown spot, middle of the day. It was just busy enough that we had some background noise, but not so crowded that we couldn't talk. I grabbed a seat in the corner, ordered a black coffee I didn't even want, and waited. Mila walked in right on time, not her usual 5 minutes late. Hair done, makeup light, wearing that soft blue sweater I got her last Christmas. Every bit of it looked intentional. She didn't say hello. The first thing out of her mouth was that she'd lost 7 pounds since I moved out. Just tossed that out there like it was supposed to matter. Stress as currency, like that somehow made things more serious or more real. Classic Mila. I let the comment pass without a word and asked her why she wanted to meet. She pulled out actual notes. Handwritten notes on a yellow legal pad. I'm not kidding. This woman who'd rather wrestle a bear than write a grocery list had made bullet points for our conversation. I almost laughed. Her first point. She said she was sorry. Genuinely sorry, for what she said, for how much it hurt, for how thoughtless and cruel it was. Said she didn't mean it. That she'd been stressed from work, irritated because she thought I was skipping her birthday weekend, and she'd been drinking wine with Mary all afternoon. She said the words had just slipped out. No filter, no thought, just came tumbling out of her mouth. I asked her why she laughed afterward. Why she added that cruel little coda to something already so damaging. The question hit her like a splash of cold water. She actually flinched. Said it was nervous laughter. Said being around Mary always brought out the worst version of herself, snarky, performative, sharp-edged. Claimed it was a dumb attempt to come off edgy, maybe even cool, in front of her sister. Then came point 2 on her yellow pad. She admitted she'd taken me, and us, for granted. Said she got too comfortable with the safety I gave her. The routine, the dependability. The way I just, showed up. Somewhere along the line, she stopped appreciating the things I did and fixated on everything I didn't. Third point. These past 3 weeks, she said, had been a slap in the face. A real wake-up call. She told me she realized how much she leaned on me, not just for money, though she owned that part, but for emotional grounding too. Said the house had gotten too quiet. That she'd started talking to herself just to feel like there was someone else there. Then point 4. She wanted us to try couples therapy. Not just vaguely floating the idea either, she'd already looked into it, found someone who specialized in rebuilding trust after emotional betrayal. Said she'd booked an initial session for next week. Asked, politely, quietly, if I'd be willing to consider it. And through all that, I just sat there. Coffee gone cold in my hand. Watching her face carefully, scanning for signs of sincerity, or maybe signs of manipulation. Trying to figure out if this was the same woman who, less than a month ago, had laughed while casually wishing I was dead. Was this real regret? Or just damage control? When she finally finished her checklist, she set the notepad aside and looked me straight in the eyes for the first time that afternoon. Asked me what I was thinking. I told her the truth, I was thinking about parallel universes. About how in some alternate reality, I never got in that car, never drove through that blizzard, never overheard her say what she said. In that version of the story, I'd still be lying next to her every night, completely unaware. Blissfully, stupidly in love with someone who could laugh about me dying. That's when she started crying. Not the dramatic sobbing from Matt's living room weeks ago. This was different. Quiet, controlled tears she kept dabbing at with a napkin like they were a nuisance she didn't have time for. I laid out my terms. Not a list of demands. Just boundaries. The separation was going to continue, all 6 months of it. I wouldn't be moving back into the house. I wasn't ruling out reconciliation entirely, but I wasn't ready to commit to therapy either. Not yet. I told her I needed time. Space. Room to think and breathe without being pulled back into the vortex of us. She nodded slowly, like she was taking a hit with every word but knew she had to absorb them anyway. Then she asked the question I'd been low-key bracing for. Do you hate me? Weird thing is, I didn't. I still don't. I'm angry. I'm hurt. I'm deeply disappointed. But hate? No. I told her that. And the look on her face, it was like I'd knocked the wind out of her with kindness. She said she'd been convincing herself I must hate her. That it was the only explanation that made sense for how completely I'd shut her out. Said it actually felt worse that I didn't. Because if I didn't hate her, maybe it meant I just didn't care enough anymore to feel something that intense. That one landed harder than I expected. Because there was a kernel of truth in it. After that, things started winding down. We agreed to handle anything practical, bills, the house, finances, via email from here on out. She'd keep covering the mortgage since her name's on it too. I'd continue splitting the utilities. We'd check in again at the 3-month mark. When we stood up to leave, she paused. Looked unsure. Then asked if she could hug me. I said no. She nodded, like she knew that would be the answer. Collected her things. Walked out the door. I stayed behind for another 30 minutes, just sitting there. Trying to process how surreal it is to have a boardroom-style conversation with someone who once held your head while you puked your guts out from bad shrimp. Someone who knows all your dumb childhood stories. Who's seen you cry over your dog and dance in the kitchen when you thought no one was looking. 7 years, reduced to bullet points on a yellow legal pad. Life moved on in its weird, quiet way after that. And even though I'd said no, something in me still reached out. I extended my right hand to her. I hugged her.